Hello, good evening. I'm Oral Gibbs, and welcome to Speaking of Everything. This evening, I have a very interesting guest, and she's one of some of the newest entrepreneurs, Dr. Arrindell. How are you doing?
Good evening, OG, and good evening to your guests as well, to your audience. Sorry, I'm doing great. I'm so tired I can't remember what day of the week it is right now.
Busy schedule.
Yes, sir.
I know it's good to have you here. And you know, when I heard that you had a new venture, so I gotta ask you about it. You've been doing a lot of things. You was a former minister of education.
Yes.
You're one of our intellectuals here in language. You're doing a lot of things. You find time to do all these things.
Trying to stay busy and stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the best way. Use up all the hours in one day.
Well, it's good to have you here because I got to ask you, the restaurant business.
I know, right?
That's a lot of work here.
Actually, that was not an idea.
Really?
No, it really wasn't. I want to do a bookstore. I've been wanting to do a bookstore for years, and every time I try to do a bookstore, I try to approach people who I think would, be open to it. Even friends who you think you could partner with, they all tell you how expensive it is, how difficult it is, how you shouldn't do it. So in speaking to some other people, I keep saying, but my heart tells me to do a bookstore. And what I did at one point, I said, you know what, you know how you go online, you Google everything? Right. And said, what makes a bookstore works? How can you make it work? And one of the things that I saw coming back and back was the bookstore cafe, or the cafe bookstore, the combination of the food. But I always wanted to do something like that anyway. I just didn't think it would be, the food would play such a big role. I always thought that you'd read books and sip some coffee and talk stuff, like intelligent stuff, and that was the dream or the fantasy. But in doing the research, I found that the more successful bookstores were the ones that had, the auxiliary business, and oftentimes it's either a wine store or a wine and cheese or the cafe. And so I figured, let me do a bookstore cafe. But again, looking at a younger audience originally, because the whole idea was to get young people to read more, to get the St. Martin community to read more. And then I figured if we read more as a community, we would engage differently in some of the social issues. And I can do what I like to do. I can be involved in terms of readings and books and lecturing and still not feel too disenfranchised. So that was the idea.
So you have a very interesting name, Soil.
Soil.
Is that an acronym for the restaurant?
Yeah, well, it's an acronym for the business, and the business consists of 5 components.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I tried to put everything that I wanted together in one package, and walked around, talked to a bunch of different people. Some thought it was a fantastic idea. Some people even said, what you're doing is very good, but I don't know if you're going to work here. Some even said if you do it on the other side of the hill, it might, there's a different audience there, it might work there. And my stubbornness, if you know me, extremely stubborn, says, no, this is what I want to do, and I want to do it like this. So I started looking for names, and I played with some different things, but I wanted inspiration to be part of the name. So I figured, and I played with it, and then I got source of inspiration and learning. And then I played with a concept for a logo, and most people weren't getting it. And I felt very disappointed. And then one night I was sitting on the bed with my friend Joy, and I said, Joy, I want to do this, but I don't want to lose the word inspiration. And then I played with the words back and forth, and I wanted to keep my learning in it. And then Joy said, well, just make it source of inspirational learning. I said, can you say that in English? Went on the internet. And that's it, source of inspirational learning. Because I didn't want to lose, because also the concept of soil, earth, fertility, plant seeds, and let them grow. That was the whole concept. So I didn't want to lose the acronym.
So when someone comes to Soil, the restaurant, the bookstore too?
Yeah, it's a whole package deal. It's Soil, actually, Soil The bookstore component is called Booked
Okay.
or Book Ed.
Uh-huh.
You play with it how you want. But I wanted education to be part of it, to be part of the name. But I couldn't do that for a business. I couldn't say, come have your coffee at Booked or Book Ed. It didn't sound.
Right.
So I said, I'm keeping soil and I'll just make the bookstore a separate component. And so there's the cafe / snack bar. So that's what we're referring to as the restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and then there's the bookstore component. But there's also something called the development center, which is my passion. The area where young people can come and do research, can browse the internet, can do their homework, can play games. So there's a game room.
It's a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It has to work, you know. If people are insisting that books on their own can't make it as a business, we have to put the components that I think can complement the book
Well, you know,
to make it work.
You know, there's a comeback of books, actually.
Yes.
Recently, in the last 8-9 months.
Yes.
It's been a huge...
Yes. I'm glad you brought it up because I just did the training in Massachusetts. And contrary to when people were here telling me that people are no longer reading books, everything that I was reading on the internet was suggesting just the opposite. And I said, you know, this is weird. Maybe it's in America, it happens, and not here. And then when I did the training, you found people from all over, but it was the United States, but then they're showing you where the figures, the numbers for e-readers, they're dropping, and you're seeing where the trend is up. People are going back to their books and their bookstores. I said, well, maybe we shouldn't just disregard the book altogether yet.
You know, I'm surprised because I'm a big advocate of the iPad.
Yes.
And I thought that was it.
I thought so too.
But that was wrong.
I was dead scared. A year, 2 years ago when I was trying the bookstore, people were saying, no, the technology is going to, you know, kill it. You can't do it. You're going to lose out. Somebody even suggested that I sell Kindle. You know, I must get into the Kindle market. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to do books.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people, because I really just love to use the iPad. I always say, thank God for the iPad.
Really?
Because my eyes are sick, and it's very difficult for me to sit and read on white paper. So I can control the lighting on the iPad. But there's a lot of people, like my wife. My wife don't like ebooks.
I don't like
She prefers to have a book holding in her hand.
Yes.
And there are a lot of other people.
And you can
like
go anywhere. And you know what? The pad is nice and flat because I watch the kids and I, you know, watch how they control it. But when I can flip the book and put it in my bag and stand in the line at the bank and...
You're going to feel it.
Oh, it's a nice feeling. It's a love relationship with the book. Yes, sir.
Yes, that's very good. And I know Ralph Cantab launched his first book there, right?
You know where? At Soil, right? Yeah, you remember that? Yeah. He did because he's a good friend. Actually, my daughter's ex-classmate. That's how I kind of met him. But he's also one of those young independistas. And everything that he does, you know, he kind of brings you into it. So when he said he was coming out with his book, I said, well, I knew of the perfect place. And, you know, free of charge for you because you're such, you know. And he was like, okay, no problem. Yeah. And I heard it was a smash. That was a hit. I wasn't here.
And he's very popular among a lot of the young people I notice even on the internet.
Yeah. Ralph, I have to learn some tips from him, you know. He knows how to market. He's very popular, but he's also a good soul. He's one of those very, you know, sincere people that wants to do good.
Right.
And so we want to encourage him as much as possible.
And I would like to see more young people like him on the island, especially young men. Seeing how St. Martinez did with a lot of crime and everything else. So the more young men we have like that, the better it is.
Well, you're going to love this. Because we have, like I said, the development center. And I have a foundation, Institute for Language Learning and Research, or Language Development. And we do projects. And one of the first projects that we're going to start at Soil at the end of September involves a program for at-risk youngsters.
That's good.
And I'm going after those young men. We can't do a lot in terms of the numbers because we approached UNESCO for funding, and they approved it. So the funding has been approved as a St. Martin project, and we are trying to do a pilot where we can write a curriculum dealing with youngsters that are at risk.
That's good.
And I'm looking at those young men in particular.
And I know when you was the Minister of Education,
Yes.
that was one of your concerns.
Yes, and it still is. It's still my passion. It's still my drive. I strongly believe that our young boys, our young men are really a dying breed, you know, that we call them endangered species, and that they need every bit of help they can get that we can give them. So you're going to be hearing about the project. It's called The Bridge, and it's a bridge between here and there.
I like the use of different names.
I like words.
Here speaking with Dr. Arrindell on the latest venture. Restaurant is called Soil. And Dr. Arrindell, where is it located?
It is officially, it says on the address, #1 Alamanda Drive. But most people don't recognize that because the L.B. Scott Road is perpendicular, right?
Okay.
So people say, why don't you just say L.B. Scott Road? And I go like, because that's not the official address. But yes, it's the building used to be called the Blue Flame Building or the Blue Flame Restaurant on L.B. Scott Road. But I say it like this, on the way to the St. Martin Academy on the right side.
And you can't miss it.
You can't miss it. It's a gray and white building you can't miss.
It's right on the side of the L.B. Scott Road. Anyway.
Right. And if you're a St. Martiner from the traditional days, you say in front of Cornelius the Weaver's house. That's a landmark.
Yeah. Probably we've changed so much now we won't even know who people are anymore.
Exactly.
Right?
You know, when you say that, people go, who? Yes.
So the restaurant, tell me about the menu.
Okay.
Because when I hear about soil, I thought you'll maybe have some sweet potato and all those
and
kind of things.
vegetarian. Yes.
You have that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm partnering in sense of working in collaboration with Dwayne Williams. You know him from Butterfish.
I'm trying to remember.
A young St. Martin. He's an ex-student. He's one of my ex-students. Okay. Again, all accidents. We met up once a few months ago, and I told him, you know, what are you doing back? And I didn't know he had a restaurant. He's a cook. He had his own restaurant. He just closed down Butterfish. But even before he closed Butterfish, and I didn't even know, he didn't know at the time he was going to close when we met. And I said, you know, what are you doing? He told me he was doing this. I said, but I have this project that I'm thinking about. When I'm ready and I'm close by, I'll come talk to you. Maybe you could give me some pointers. Yeah. And then when we spoke, I said, I'd like to work with you. And basically, he's the chef.
Okay, good.
For now. He also has his catering company called Is the Hands, which is online catering where he comes to you and sets you up. So it's somebody to collaborate with. He sets the menu. Right now, this was our first day today, this week, Monday, that we opened. Yeah. And for the rest of the week, we have a different theme every week. No, I can't remember the exact.
Every week is a different
every
theme?
day in the week.
Oh, okay.
So he has a concept of doing Mexican or to do, you know, Mediterranean. He has his, he's good. He's good. And he's not expensive. So we're trying to keep it affordable because we know there are a lot of students in the area.
Right.
And we want them to eat decent meals if they can, they and their parents. The idea is to we open for breakfast.
That's good.
So we start off with the local stuff.
What do you have for breakfast?
Johnny cake and bush tea and the regular. So we have sandwiches as well, you know, and you can get your cold and hot drinks. And then we have lunch. So we're only doing breakfast and lunch right now. Okay. And trying to keep the prices reasonable. We really, yes. But we don't want it, you know, we understand it's a business, but we're also looking at getting youngsters to eat better. Yeah. The idea is to eventually provide more, you know, because we also know that we're competing in the area for the fast food or the fast snack. Yeah. And we think that has its place, but we also want to introduce youngsters and their parents to good, healthy, reasonably priced local food.
So can you get a hamburger?
Yeah, you can get that too. Yeah? Yeah, and we are very selective about the hamburgers. And I'm learning a lot about hamburger meat. I didn't know it was so complicated. You know that to get the good stuff.
It's expensive when you buy the quality meat,
Yeah, so we're still out searching. I'm taking advice from the people who know. Sometimes people direct you here and direct you here. So but I have my niece, I must say, Natasha Richardson. She's my go-to girl, and she's the one who's under a lot of pressure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm learning a lot.
And you got milkshake too?
We have juicers on the menu, so we're learning that. I try to order an ice cream and milkshake machine. I'm told that you could do this differently, so I'm trying to see, I'm researching how to do that best. We're having discussions with coffee. Well, that is another story, how to do coffee well. And there are some who are very skeptical whether our people would buy coffee, you know.
Really?
Yeah, you know, you had, because they don't think that people in that area would and you know, people have perceptions about, you know, certain demographics.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm listening, but like I said, I'm very stubborn. So I'm trying to hear and take advice, but there's a part of me that's saying, learn this. So I've been doing a lot of research about coffee and different coffee beans and you know, how to train baristas, etc.
Yeah.
Because the intention is to try to bring that online as well.
I want, you know, I'm not a coffee drinker.
I don't.
I'm a tea drinker.
Yes, me too.
But the thing is, I wonder if a lot of people in St. Martin drink coffee. My father was a big coffee
I know
drinker.
people who do, like our friend Lasana. Lasana has a coffee at least once a day. And like every time I know he has, but I know people who do, and they must have it at the end of their meal, and how important it is to have the right coffee.
That's the other thing, because my wife is a coffee drinker.
Really?
In the morning only.
Yeah.
It must be one type of coffee.
There you go.
It's difficult, you know.
I gave up drinking even what they say to me is the bad coffee years ago, and I thought it was
bad coffee.
I thought it was so great, you know, the generic thing, Nescafe, the old regular stuff that everybody had at home. Yeah, I thought that was like it.
Yeah.
And then I'm, you know, according to the aficionados, that's, you know. So I'm busy learning about coffee.
Oh yeah, it's so different. But you know, it's amazing. I was looking at some figures. Still, when you put the whole world together, there's still more tea drinkers than coffee drinkers.
No, that makes me feel good, because I'm a big tea drinker.
Because you put Asia in all those countries.
Yeah, but my children don't like tea. And my daughter thinks coffee is hip, so she's into the fancy stuff.
So someone can also get a cup of,
we have tea. We have bush tea. We have regular
Tell me about the bush tea now, because I'm curious.
We have different types. This morning it was soursop.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's ice.
You know, we're mixing it up with a bush tea. And then there's the smoked herring and saltfish breakfast. You know those?
Which one? Smoked
herring. No, not together. But
okay.
you know, there's a saltfish breakfast and the smoke that Dwayne is known for. So we expect that the people who know. We got a call this morning from someone who asked if he was serving it still, because they used to do it at his old restaurant, Butterfish.
And we're doing this show in the night now. I'm already getting hungry.
Yeah, I know, right? I hear you, right? We're not doing dinner yet. We're working on a plan for dinner.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take it slowly.
Yes,
you know,
we're trying to see what will work and what won't. But the idea is for it to be there for a while. So we're committed to this. We're committed to making it work. The most exciting thing about soil, and we didn't mention that.
Okay.
We have a space, a time in the day called the Youth Zone. And the Zone Youth Cafe, basically, is between 1 and 5, and it's open. I can't say solely, because anybody else can come in, but the focus, the emphasis is on after-school activity for high schoolers.
That's good.
So when they come, they can relax, they can eat, they can play their video games, they can do their internet research, they can copy stuff for their projects. The idea is to get them to stay focused on their school, but in a relaxing atmosphere. So it's not school, and it's not just an after-school tutorial. If they need tutoring in specific subjects, we're willing to provide that as well.
And that's good, because you're so close to all those big schools in that area.
Yes, and you see how many of them, when they finish, they're just sitting out there. And so we're trying to tell them, you have a space where you can sit, it is safe. We have, you know, we're very rigid. We have security. We want to make sure that youngsters are comfortable, but they're interacting with each other in a different kind of environment.
Very good. And the thing is, too, that where you're located, because you're right there on the L.B. Scott Road, and you have St. Peter's in one area, Saunders, Reward, is ideal.
So that's what I'm hoping. And that is what I want to catch on in the afternoon a lot, that youngsters will just come and relax. You know, and parents will know that they're somewhere safe. And then we're busy now with packages that we want to recommend to parents if they would like, you know, whether they would want to do monthly or weekly or whatever, they can do that too, an additional, to the kids just coming and relaxing.
All right.
So we have that.
And do you have takeout too at Soil?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, we have
so someone
takeout.
can call in.
Call in, make their reservations, and get their food. And
what's the number?
520-1136, and there's 520-8. No, I can't give it to you because I can't remember it, and I will give you the wrong number.
Will you give me one?
520-1136.
Okay,
Yes.
That's one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the number, but I know 8s are on the outside. I can't
But at least you
remember the
got
2
one
digits
number.
in the inside.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good. I really I hope it works out well, because the restaurant business is very tough. The margins are very small.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of time, dedication, and it doesn't happen overnight. So.
Yeah, we have a game room.
Okay.
And hopefully that will attract enough youngsters to do more than just eat. Maybe they're not interested in eating a meal, but they can play some games. We have a pool room with some arcade games in it.
Oh, that's nice.
So they can come and do that as well.
All right.
So it's a combination of everything.
And did I cover everything with you about the food?
No. Well, the food, the menu, and then there are the snacks.
Okay. What snacks do you have?
Dwayne has his own specialty, some specialty snacks. He called one here. It's a doggy something.
Doggy.
But we also have snow cones for the youngsters. We have popcorn. We have, what's that thing? Candy, the cotton candy.
Oh, yeah, that too?
So we have we're trying to give it that kind of, lounge retro feel and give you the food to match the environment. So you have a combination of things.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yes.
Another thing is, on St. Martin sometimes is very difficult, because a lot of people, we're not like other countries where people go as a family to eat.
Yes.
And I see that in other islands. I don't see that in St. Martin.
Hardly,
so much, right?
Maybe on Sundays. I think a lot of
so
like
see
Sunday.
that more.
I hope so. Tell them to come to Soil without bring the entire family.
It's also a family place.
It's also a family place. It's a place really for the family, really. And once the bookstore is open, because now we're trying now to get that together, but once we get that open, it really is a space where you could just spend the day. We want it to be an experience more than just a location. That's the idea.
And people, when they're going to work in the morning, they can stop by.
And there's good parking.
Yeah.
You can park, you can turn around, and you can get off the road in that crazy traffic.
You can get your coffee and your bush tea, right?
Yes, sir.
So
yes,
you have soursop bush tea?
I had soursop today. We will have the lemongrass, which is a regular staple.
Oh, okay.
We will have the basil and some of the others, mint.
Yeah? So the whole different...
The whole gamut, different types of bush tea.
What else do you have that I don't know?
Right now, I can't think of any right now in terms of, I'm looking to see. I know Dwayne has a special sauce.
Yeah, it's a surprise sauce.
It's a surprise, but it's made with onion. He makes it look like it's so simple. He said, "Oh, that's just onion." And when you taste it, and I go like, "It's not just
good,
onion, Dwayne." And so I've seen people put it on the Johnny cakes.
Yeah, wow.
That I think is a little weird.
There's some nice sweet onions. Good quality onions.
Yes, and he has his, I guess, sweet onion sauce on a Johnny cake, if you want to call it that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
So can someone have Johnny cake and saltfish?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I don't know the days of the week, though, because they're not every day.
At least you can find out when
you can find out. I will try to post, in social media and wherever the menu, because he did give me a rundown of what he wants to do daily. Oral, the soups.
Wow.
The soups
make
are
it quick because almost all the time.
Yes, the oyster soup, the chicken soup. Oh my goodness.
Wow, you got me really hungry.
Yes.
I gotta thank you for coming in. You got 30 seconds in close and tell us.
We're going to tell people to bring the family to Soil, and you'll see what we're talking about for yourself.
Thank you very much, and much success. All right.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Oral.
All right, that's it for now. See you next time. Until then, good night. Take care. Bye.